Okay, welcome at this session about off-the-record messaging. And of course, first the standard announcements. We need more volunteers. Please, sign up, there's much stuff to do. Importantly, some cars are improperly parked. The signs of these cars, the license plates are posted around the camp. If one of your cars is on the list, please move it yourself or we will remove it and your car might be, I don't know, sold or so. Please don't throw trash in the toilet. We had to clean it up. And an announcement I want to make myself. If you move anything into this room, please remove it as well. I see many beer bottles, water bottles and crap. I mean, please remove your own stuff. And if you see another bottle, take it away as well. I don't think we need to drink more water today. But you can reuse the water bottles that you have. So, now to the talk. Off-the-record messaging by Jurre van Bergen and David Goulet. What it is, what it's about, the state of the art, etc. At the end we will have 10 minutes for Q&A, so please stay if you have questions for them personally. So please welcome Jurre and David.
Alright, so you can hear me, guys? Yeah. Alright, so hi everyone. Thank you to come to this windy talk. I'm David, this is Julie. This is usable encryption, so there's missing a C, encryption with OTR, which is use OTR, it's a funny name. And we're going to talk about some OTR stuff, but beforehand we're just going to present ourselves so you know who we are, guys. So I'm David Goulet, and Degoulet is my nickname on RC, and any jabberish thing you can find about me. This is my OTR key, of course. So I'm just going to do a shameless plug beforehand. I'm also working on TorSock's rewrite. So the Tor project was kind enough to admit that there was some problem with TorSocks. So for those who don't know, TorSocks is just a program that hijacks every system calls on Linux to make them pass through the Tor network. So DNS calls, connection, and stuff. And there's a rewrite going on. I'm almost done, so I need. If you want to help, collaborate, test, please go to this link, and hopefully we can have a very nice improvement in TorSocks. Next thing is KJackal. KJackal is a Linux rootkit scanner I did. It's pretty nice. It's modules. You load them. It scans if you have rootkits, and it's working on the last 3.9.8 kernel. I think so. Go check it. And finally, LTTNG. This is the thing I'm working on full time. LTTNG is a Linux tracer, like ftrace, strace, perf. So this is about it for my shameless plug. And Julie is going to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Jurre van Bergen. I'm also known as Dr. Wax. You can email me at drwax@2600nl.net. I do some OTR stuff, and this is my OTR fingerprint. And next to that, I also have a shameless plug. I work on Digital Rights Watch. We're going to do a talk today at 3 at the Noisy Square on Field W. You should really check it out. We put the resistance back in Ohm. And next to that, we both work on like project for crypto.is to have better code peer review kind of project. ERC or SSI OTR comes from that. So that's what we do.
All right. So here's our plan for this session. It's not going to be a long talk, so we're hoping for you guys to have a lot of questions, comments, and so on. So we're going to start with a small introduction of what is OTR, explaining what the properties of OTR are, and then the project ID of use OTR. Then we're going to deeper into the state of OTR right now. So what's the OTR plugins available, for which IAMs, and what's the situation in terms of updates and security and stuff. And finally, now what? This is like a surprise, not surprise, but mystery team about some changes we need in OTR and this larger community of IAMs, instant messaging. First of all, so OTR is an end-to-end encryption, which means it's from person to person across the internet, across the network. There is 4 properties that is very important in OTR. That is the base of OTR, which is encryption, of course. So everyone knows what is encryption. There's authentication, so we make sure you know who you're talking to. Deniability. So deniability, there's a nice slide. I'm going to explain what it's about. It's also known as repudiability. And finally, perfect forward secrecy. So just to start, who here uses OTR? All right, less than half. All right, so who uses Pigeon? With OTR, of course. Oh, so 1, 2, 3, we got 4 person. All right, so, well, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff. First, Pigeon. So thanks to the Press Freedom Foundation for those fancy screenshots. Pigeon is a known IAM, well-known IAM on Windows and Linux. It's also, I think, the most downloaded IAM right now in open source with Adium, which is for Mac. And Pigeon OTR is a plugin that is maintained by Ian Goldberg. Ian Goldberg is the person right now, along with other, of course, person, but maintaining the library, the main implementation library of libOTR. So Pigeon is done by him, and this is a very nice thing they've done in terms of usability, where you get the you're starting to speak with someone and it says unverified. So this means you're talking, it's encrypted. Your conversation is encrypted, but it's unverified. So you don't know, you're not sure who you're talking to. So then you can authenticate your person through the fingerprints. But this is a very tedious process, the fingerprints, and there is some kind of improvement that was done in July, 24th of July 2007, which had the Socialist Millionaire Protocol, and this is pretty cool. So you ask a question that only the other person know, and that you know the answer, and then the person responds, and if it's correct, well, it's verified. There's a very nice fancy crypto behind that, and you verify. So in terms of usability, this is a key feature. This is a really important key feature. And as we're going to see through the talk, well, there's not much right now plugins for IAMs that uses this feature, even though it's there for still 2007. So now perfect forward secrecy. You might have heard a lot about perfect forward secrecy in the last weeks or so about all this Snowden thing where we want to put all this SSL traffic through perfect forward secrecy. So basically is you have those guys on top that snooping, and they finally get your key, your private key, but with perfect forward secrecy, it's mean like you don't do shit with the previous conversation. So the previous stuff is safe, even though the private key was compromised. So there's go read on Wikipedia. There's a lot of articles about that to understand the crypto if you're interested. But perfect forward secrecy is very important for that. Deniability. So I hope this is going to be clear. But so deniability is the fact that you are sure to receive a message that was sent by Alice, but you can't prove that it was written by her. So just as a small quiz, because we have a lot of questions about deniability, is there in the room someone who knows a documented case where deniability was used in the legal court? No, right? Okay, interesting. It's a nice feature. We don't know if it's really usable in terms of like protection legal framework, but this is nice to have. So finally, what is OTR is the good thing about that is protocol agnostic. So it's on the layer of the application. So you just have your discussion, you encrypt, and you send it over whatever protocol it is. So it's like a text blob, if you like. Offer great security. It was peer-reviewed. The design was peer-reviewed. The code is also peer-reviewed. It's open source. It's been there for a while. Very knowledgeable people are working on that, cryptographers, developers. But of course, this community can improve. So of course, you guys can help. Jory is going to talk a bit about the UseOTR project.
So we've been looking at all these OTR projects for like around a year because we saw some stuff which we could improve, and one of them was the usability of most of these projects, like Pigeon OTR and Adium OTR. So then we came up with the idea, so why don't we go and audit and improve these projects, because they are already out there, they have a name, they are being used by people. So, you know, it would make sense to upgrade these existing projects because they have the name and the momentum. So we tried, and I audited the code together with Jacob Applebaum like around a year ago, and it was for the Windows build. And we found out that in every dynamic library for the Windows build they shipped, the oldest exploits came from 2006, and all the DLLs were vulnerable to at least one attack. So then we said, oh gosh, this is like pretty messed up. So we're gonna like submit a lot of patches to the Pigeon project in the hope that they will improve it. And there was some discussion about the security releases, and sometimes they've thought, well, it's out of date, but maybe it's not vulnerable, and it's only like a denial of service. So this isn't really like a high priority kind of thing to update. And so Pigeon OTR, well, mainly Pigeon like a year ago was like really insecure for the Windows build. And only 6 months later, they shipped an actual bug. They actually shipped a new security update for all these dynamic libraries. So it took us about like 6 months of like pushing the developers of like changing some security stuff. So then we were like, well, okay, so if this is gonna take like 6 months every time, or like even a year to include our patches or our contributions, then it doesn't really scale up, right? So we kind of like changed our goal from improving the existing instant messaging clients to improving usability and security for chat communication in general. So now we kind of want to work on some other protocols like asynchronous OTR, which kind of means that you can send OTR messages. So you do a key exchange, like it's kind of like Facebook chat, that you send an OTR message, you do a key exchange, somebody goes offline for 15 minutes, and he comes online like 10 minutes later, but your session is still inactive, and you can like still have an OTR conversation with this guy without losing any security properties. So for that, we kind of have we want to get all the user feedback from the users, because we are the developers, and it's really hard for us to get the feedback from the end user. So how can we fix this? How can we have beta testing rounds of the applications and that kind of stuff? So we want to bridge gaps, and by bridging gaps we mean between the developers together with NGOs who are teaching these kind of communications and applications to people who are in need of that in either in the West or in oppressive regimes. Next to that, it's really important to have journalists included in this, because they really need secure chat communication nowadays, and especially with the latest revelations from Snowden, as we found out. So it's really important that we include those people as well in this entire process. And next to that, the activists who could use us in whatever manner they can. So we want to bring the end users to this entire community. Because usability is the name of the game. We're kind of stuck in this pattern for the past 10 to 20 years of that we have all the protocols in place, but the actual applications are kind of a pain to use. This is not only most of the OTR applications, but it's also about PGP and Enigmail and et cetera, et cetera. So we want to include user interface designers and user experience people by designing the interfaces and the entire application. Because usability is a security feature. You could provide really strong crypto, but if you do something wrong and you don't give feedback what exactly is going wrong when you send a message and it gives an error, then people can fucking die. So we need to change this pretty soon. So this is why we want to include user interface and user experience designers. I just thought that, I guess.
It was a nice meme. Go next. All right, so with that, we begin the process of doing the state of OTR right now as of today. So those are all the IAMs, standalone IAMs on desktop that we found, except CryptoCat is a special case, but that we found that as OTR support. There's some more, but those are used every day. For instance, Adium is it was downloaded 2 million times just this year. So there's a lot of people using it. In terms of development, Pigeon, as I said, is as the most updated and best version of OTR, alongside with RSSI, and now thanks to Daniel here, WeChat also, which is the small icon at the bottom. Adium as I think recently, just recently, I mean in the last months or week, and correct me if I'm wrong, they merged, or they are about to merge the SMP support, and but this SMP support was there like 6 years ago. So there's OTR is not that maintained, and what the research shows that, well, not only is not that maintained, but there's usually one person maintaining it. Of course, voluntary. It's voluntary work. There's a lot of open bugs, and it's difficult to go on and guarantee good security in those things, even though libOTR provides this great security. So in terms of OTR libraries, there's this C libraries, as I said, which is nice API provided in C to just use. So you basically use it to encrypt the different messaging part of your discussion into OTR complete stream. There's also a pure Python OTR, which is very nice and well maintained of what we can see. And maybe the person who's maintaining it is here. I think it's aflux on GitHub. This is very nice, and I think WeChat uses pure Python OTR also. There's also a Java implementation, but like we said, this last commit was a year ago. And Scheme Go JavaScript is also doing that. I mean, CryptoCat has its own version of OTR in JavaScript. Hopefully, I think there's a lot of work is being done to come up with a standard OTR JavaScript library. So yes, I'm missing a link here, unfortunately, but there's a draft being done by Paul Wouters, which is here on the camp, that for the RFC, alongside with, I don't remember his last name, but Peter something, that to be officially accepted by the IETF group. There is a link, it's on GitHub, we're gonna get it, and then we can send it on to OTR or something. And there's also this very nice Dane authentication for OTR keys that was done also by Paul, done in July. So please review those drafts, help out, go read them, go develop them and stuff, play with them. It's a community effort, we need this. So this is really good for OTR. Now Jury is going to talk a bit about Pigeon, because Pigeon is the biggest IAMs used, right? It's the largest user base in IAMs in open source, and there's some kind of weird problem with that.
So as I've told before, I kind of audited Pigeon, and we found out a lot of interesting things about Pigeon. Not only have they an enormous amount of lines of code, like more than 300,000, where the Linux networking subsystem is about 500,000 lines of code. So we kind of have a problem here. But it's not going to happen, and it's not possible to audit 300,000 lines of code for security stuff. So maybe it's too big to succeed. Maybe it's not such a good idea to improve the existing clients out there, because they haven't been designed by security and anonymity by default, right? So it doesn't make sense to turn this around completely. We can only help them with some security processes that they ship out security patches way sooner than 6 months later. So this is kind of a problem, because the development workflow is a pain in the ass. I'm not saying they are lazy, but there is some room to improve things. So security is not a focus of the development workflow as it is now. It might get better, they thought, after the new release of the 3.0 release, but I'm not so sure. So hopefully we can change that. And there's actually an interesting thing, because there is some talk about integrating OTR into Pigeon itself, in main Pigeon, because nowadays you have Pigeon, you have Pigeon OTR, and we want to include OTR by default in Pigeon. So that's going to happen. You can contribute to that. There's an open ticket on pigeon.im, if I'm right. Yeah. So I think you probably read the Moxie stuff. He did a very good, nice thing, tech secure and all sorts of stuff. And he came up 20 days ago with a quote after this elm.is IS thing from, not TPB, but Peter. Peter Sander.
Yeah. And this is a nice quote. It was in a small blog post, basically saying that newcomers, it's nice that newcomers come in, but they usually fuck up. And this poses a problem in terms of mobile application, because this was for mobile, where you see all of these right now are secure apps, mobile. There's 11 of them there, and there might be the other that are pretty known, Silent Circle, Text Secure, iMessages, and stuff. So you get to the point where you have your mobile phone, you want to get into a secure text application, and you see that. So what do you do, right? And then there's a lot of things like in those clients that are basically done by a small group of people, not in terms of community. It's open source, but there's no community around. There's no peer review board and stuff, or peer-reviewed or whatever. And this has caused problem in terms of security. And there's this why Moxie said that, like, well, either you fucked it up, and then the users go to a new IAM, and they have problem of choice again, and the cycle goes around. So, in terms of mobile, there's a problem because there's too much. Too much is not the bad thing. The problem is that they are not based on the same foundation of security where like a libOTR implementation, which is a foundation that should be built on. They all do their proper stuff, not the proper stuff, but their property stuff, or some modification of OTR and other thing. A success story now. You all have heard of this, right? CryptoCat. So, why is it a success story? I think CryptoCat has a huge amount of users right now. So apart from all the security shit that happened with CryptoCat, or if you are like uneasy with Nadim or not, well, they're doing a great job. This is a good team. And inside the browser, so there was an easy access. There was this easy way of getting from Facebook to a secure chat in the same program. So people can socialize and still be secure within CryptoCat. And this is a nice user interface. If you look at this, this is a really nice example of how usability can be improved. So for fingerprint verification, there is this nice color that was added. And it seems like not much, but in terms of the end user, like my mother seeing that makes more sense to compare colors than blobs of base 64 stuff, right? Decimals, hexadecimal stuff, sorry. So this success story comes to basically doing a fancy interface in a way that is accessible to everyone, which is the web browser. But of course, one does not simply use OTR after that. So CryptoCat has had a lot of problem. There will be some other bugs also. If you don't write codes, there is no bug, right? So they got they did their own OTR implementation and moved on with that. So usability should be an OTR property, and actually should become an OTR property. Not in terms of specification like deniability and stuff, but it should be when you use OTR, when you develop OTR, when you create a plugin, usability, meaning it's usable for the user, it's easy to access, and please go see Psy Plus IAM, go see all the command lines IAM. It's really complicated to start OTR conversation. So now the big question: Do we still need standalone IAM client today? And by standalone IAM, I mean instant messaging software on desktops. So we all have our fancy Nexus 4, Samsung stuff, open hardware, free phone. It's very nice, Fairphone. But still, IAMs is still used on desktop. So we think yes, right? We think that it's still needed, and web browser chat is not the only answer. They're complementary, actually. So why a new IAM clients would be great, or if it is new, it should be like, why IAM clients are still used right now, sorry. So there's control over security and interface, where in a web browser you don't have that much control. Easy migration for existing users. So this is debatable, but especially when Gmail drops out XMPP support, but for instance, Facebook still supports it, so you can use it just into Pigeon, and you have your roster, and you're good, and you use OTR. You don't depend on the biggest attack vector of all, which is the web nowadays. Well, again, this is debatable. Those are not like real objective objective point, but web is very dangerous nowadays. You'd have to trust third-party JavaScript and a lot of stuff like that. So again, when you're on your computer with a standalone IM, there's a much more control. And focus on security and privacy also by design should be like no question asked. Development cycle should be on privacy and security. So you remember those emails, those IMs, I'm sorry, back in the 2000 where AOL, MSN, and ICQ, right? So those are the old way of communicating, because it was one-on-one where you just sign in, you find your friends online, and then you just send a message to one person to another person. So there was this all AOL era of messaging, and then I think Pigeon got renamed from
Gajim.
yeah, no, Gagem still exists. From the old AOL, I think, client. I don't remember. So this is like 10 years ago. Now you see this kind of thing. You get your phone, or even desktop nowadays, you send a message, and then 2 hours later you send another message, or maybe next day, and then the person might be online or offline and receive it and send it. So you do, and also it's seamless. It's in a way you don't know if you're looking at this picture, you don't know if it's Jabber, you don't know if it's Facebook, you don't know if it's SMS, right? So the point is that you get to a point where people expect to receive messages after 10 minutes after being offline for 3 days. Where with MSN and AOL, when those kind of software, well, you don't expect that much, where you talk to the person. If it's offline, you maybe leave a message, but that's it. Oh, sorry. So Pigeon, Adium, all the IMs today are like this. But the phone industry, like Apple and Microsoft and all of the others, have a lot of money to understand that to make you use this kind of technology, but it's pretty awesome also to be able to communicate at any point in time with different protocols. So we get to this new chat paradigm, this new thing, which it's synchronous and asynchronous communication. It's offline messaging, or you are online all the time, right? So there's both of the situation. You have integrated media files also, video, images, non-stop. You receive a message and the image is there. You don't have to put a link on Facebook and so on. It's protocol agnostic also. I mean, by agnostic, it means like combined together in your application nowadays. And also, it would be kind of cool we kind of take for granted right now with all the Apple nice product that you can seamlessly change to mobile, to your TV, to your desktop, everything. So it's not only new client, but it's new chat experience. It's a new user experience. And this makes us propose a big experiment with the community. So there's a lot of effort going on with MPOTR. So MPOTR is a multi-party OTR thing. So it means in a group chat like RRC, everyone can communicate in OTR fashion way. The problem is that MPOTR is a very complicated problem in terms of cryptography and in terms also of understanding what modern communication chat or encryption is. Meaning, what's a group chat? What's about if we don't want to see the history, we want someone going online, offline, what's going on? So this is why we propose to create as a community basic requirements of what we think a modern chat system is, and then produce protocol or adapt the protocol that we have in terms of data transmission to encryption. So as a guy who helped us out a lot, Elia, so not a manifesto, it's a chatifesto. So basically we want to create a chatifesto. We think that this should at least have the OTR properties because we have OTR right now and we want to use OTR for that. And then asynchronous communication because it's very important. Then multi-party can come in and also and go on to understand those requirements and proceed to the designs, the application, the specification and stuff. So it's basically going to step back and understanding all these new IMs and maybe new realities are. So there's a pad, and this is a big experiment, meaning we are asking you to help create this Chattifesto as a community, as a hacker community, as a professional community. If you do UI, community managing, cryptography, code review, everything, we need everyone's opinion. The point is not trashing the thing, but reading, adding your ideas, and let's talk about that so we can create this chatifesto and which are the requirements, and then go on to create new, better encryption end-to-end. So please join that on OFTC if you're interested. There's the pad, 9 minutes left. And finally, the last one, the end. Please help us out. We need to increase the OTR community. There's a lot to do. Developers, and also especially UI, please, user interface, very important. We're going to try to create a bigger project with the team at RiseUp and Leap also to come out with this huge federated XMPP servers farm with OTR and new ways of using modern encryption into the new chat paradigm. Big thanks to Eli and Micah from RiseUp that help us out a lot. They put out a lot of time with us to create this and study all the things. OTR on RC, OTR dev on RC, mailing lists, please, questions, trolling, anything.
Thank you, David and Jure. There were questions. Please put questions into the mic. I'll see you, and I'll bring the microphone to you. There was a question from the gentleman here first.
Hi, Paul. So earlier in your talk, you mentioned that every DLL had security bugs. Just to clarify, you meant pigeon DLLs, right? Not pigeon OTR DLLs.
Yeah, although I'm not entirely sure if the Pigeon OTR repository is up to date with the latest DLLs. I'm not sure.
So we had some problems finding people that actually wanted to regularly rebuild the Windows version because we didn't find that many people that were actually running the Windows version. But if there's someone who can regularly do this, that would be good. And then the other thing maybe you can explain to me, you talk a lot about this asynchronous OTR. And what I'm not entirely understanding is, as far as I know, OTR can be completely asynchronous right now already. The only thing is that you have to make sure not to go into the finish state when you log off. So I don't think it needs a protocol change or anything.
Well, we don't think it's a protocol change. It's probably an adaptation of the protocol or improvement. Because yes, you can do that as we talked yesterday about that. But you have to at least initiate a communication in OTR. You can't send a bulk of data to an offline person without initiating some kind of communication beforehand. Say yes. The point is that we can make it work.
But why does it matter where your message is stored? Because if I'm asleep and I'm not reading your message, whether that message is in my OTR client waiting for me to read, or in your send queue waiting for you to send it to me, doesn't really matter. I'm not going to see it until I get up.
Well, no, it doesn't matter where it's stored or where you want to wait or not. The problem is more about the encryption phases of OTR. If you're offline, we never had exchange keys. Now the problem is that if we don't start a session, how can I send you something in OTR fashion way? And that's the problem. That is one problem. We can improve to maybe work with that, or we can judge that, well, it's not that useful, so maybe we can drop it and use OTR in async way. So that would be great. Yeah.
We have a question over here.
Hi. I also read about the problems with Pigeon, and me and a bunch of other people didn't feel comfortable using it because of the threats.
We should talk.
Sorry?
We should talk after the Q&A. Now we just use GPG or the sneakernet, depending on what we're going to send. Is there a standalone, my question is there a standalone Linux client that you would recommend, that you feel comfortable recommending? Because I'm fine with using GPG if there is no client that is sufficient. And I'm curious about the cryptography, and I'm also curious about, you mentioned the 300,000 lines of code. That doesn't feel nice.
Right. So I'm going to answer this one. We don't know which one is best because there is no thorough code review on anyone. But there is a reason why we think Pigeon OTR will be the best one to use right now. It's because first it's the most updated software. It's well coded, and Ian is behind that. He's doing a lot of work, and there's much more testing went in Pigeon OTR than other plugins. So Pigeon is a problem. The plugin Pigeon OTR is good. So we will recommend to use Pigeon OTR as of today for these reasons, in terms of because it's usable, it's very easy to understand what's going on with your encryption, and also the code is not bad at all. But there's no like pragmatic, like real certainty with IAM's plugins.
I see you.
Would you have any plan to better integrate OTR with the OpenPGP Web of Trust?
I've heard some work being done in that field.
Yeah, like Paul is working on to integrate the keys into Dane. So I guess that's the web of trusting that is being worked on in an RFC. But integrating it, yeah.
Kind of a segue on that. Right now I use OTR in many different chat applications like RSSI and all that, and they all store their own different keys, even if it's for the same account. Is there a space maybe in the library to just make it so that you have like one storage and one account for those stupid keys?
Yeah, so I guess this is where the OTR RFC comes in, right? Is that we want to define like how the keys are generated and that everybody will be like compatible with the RFC, because at the moment it's kind of like a pain to migrate all the keys to various devices. I know the Guardian project like coded something for this. It's called OTR file converter and it's on GitHub. But yeah, it's not enough. I think it only like moves Pigeon OTR keys to like Guardian applications. So yeah.
Hi there. What about joining the Pirate Bay guys? Because they were also starting up their own messaging service based on XMPP and also user interaction, and they got funded.
Well, yeah, I think it's the, what's this, Bulldog? Bulldog client or Goldbug, I don't remember. Yeah, but they don't use OTR. As far as I'm concerned, they use SSL and PGP. So there's one problem, I think, with OTRs right now is that this offline messaging problem. It can be done as Paul stated. You can have tricks without not finishing the OTR discussion, but it seems that the new IAMs on mobile application are just going for the easy way, not to fix OTR in that matter. So they're going to SSL and PGP. So this is pretty difficult to team up with those guys. But if they're open to the OTR, well. Hallelujah.
Hi, Paul again. Just the URL you were missing is github.com/stpeter/OTR-spec. I'll give it to you later as well.
Great.
So that's where the RFC, but we're working on the RFC. It will only cover wire format. It will not cover storage format locally. That's like an application thing on its own. So that's something that the applications will have to work on. We can work on and seeing maybe if we can change something in libOTR. It was using the .purple structure, and I guess the hope was that everybody was going to use that, so that there would be one format. But maybe there should be some configuration option to specify the file. I hope that they use the same display formats for the keys for the other places as well, because it's a little tricky to convert the key, and if we are presenting the keys to the users, then they definitely should be in a format that are the same across applications.
Yeah.
And on one last note, the color bar with that CryptoCat is using makes me really nervous. There's a reason why there's so many numbers there. It's because we really want to verify that, and we're already reducing a 2048-bit key to a smaller number by hashing it. By again sort of hashing it into 6 colors makes me really nervous. So
I'm not sure you're comparing the colors. I think it's just to highlight the section of the fingerprint. I'm not sure. I don't think you compare the colors.
Yeah, but if people then start using and saying, oh, okay, so my key is brown, yellow, orange, purple, then we've really reduced it to something that can be easily man in the middle.
This is a problem, yeah. Yeah, of course. I think the CryptoCat people here take notes.
No more questions? Oh, one in the back.
I have one question. Do you have any numbers concerning the users of OTR and which protocols they are using? I'm sorry if you didn't understand the...
Oh, okay.
Okay. I ask again. Do you have any numbers how many users of OTR are using which protocols?
No, I don't.
No.
There are some statistics about the downloads of various clients like IDM and Pigeon, but that's about it. That's the only statistics we have at the moment.
So I mean, I assume most OTR users are just using Jabber. Wouldn't it also be a good idea to have an XCP for OTR? This XMPP protocol extension?
I'm not aware of any extension. I mean, why do you need an extension for OTR? In XMPP, I mean XMPP, as of now, most of the users are using OTR over XMPP. And it's just big messages, base 64 messages that are sent. That's it. So you don't need an extension to help out OTR, actually.
Yeah, I mean, for example, PGP has a nice integration in Jabber where the one who doesn't have, who can't encrypt the message, then will see you will send an encrypted message, which is for OTR example where many people just read, a stream of characters and such an integration. But there are no plans for it.
Is there a question? Because I'm not sure.
Maybe I just come afterwards and then have more time to explain.
Come see after us. Come see us after. Everyone knows what is encryption. There's authentication to make sure you know who you're talking to. Deniability. So deniability, there's a nice slide to explain what it's about. It's also known as repudiability. And finally, perfect forward secrecy. So just to start, who here uses OTR? All right, less than half. All right, so who uses Pigeon? With OTR, of course. Oh, so 1, 2, 3, we have 4 person. All right, so, well, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff. First, Pigeon. So thanks to the Press Freedom Foundation for those fancy screenshots. Pigeon is a known IAM, well-known IAM on Windows and Linux. It's also, I think, the most downloaded IAM right now in open source with Adium, which is for Mac. And Pigeon OTR is a plugin that is maintained by Ian Goldberg. Ian Goldberg is the person right now, along with other, of course, person, but maintaining the library, the main implementation library of libOTR. So Pigeon is done by him, and this is a very nice thing they've done in terms of usability, where you get the you're starting to speak with someone and it says unverified. So this means you're talking, it's encrypted. Your conversation is encrypted, but it's unverified. So you're not sure who you're talking to. So then you can authenticate your person through the fingerprints. But this is very tedious. I'm David. This is Julie. This is usable encryption. So there's missing a C. Encryption with OTR, which is use OTR. It's a funny name. And we're going to talk about some OTR stuff, but beforehand, we're just going to present ourselves so you know who we are, guys. So I'm David. So I'm David Goulet, and Degoulet is my nickname on RC, and any jabberish thing you can find about me. This is my OTR key, of course. So I'm just going to do a shameless plug beforehand. I'm also working on TorSock's rewrite. So the Tor project was kind enough to admit that there was some problem with TorSocks. So for those who don't know, TorSocks is just a program that hijacks every system calls on Linux to make them pass through the Tor network. So DNS calls, connection, and stuff. And there's a rewrite going on. I'm almost done, so I need, if you want to help, collaborate, test, please go to this link, and hopefully we can have a very nice improvement in TorSocks. Next thing is KJackal. KJackal is a Linux rootkit scanner I did. It's pretty nice. It's modules. You load them. It scans if you have rootkits, and it's working on the last 3.9.8 kernel. I think so. go check it. And finally, LTTNG. This is the thing I'm working on full time. LTTNG is a Linux tracer, like ftrace, strace, perf. So this is about it for my shameless plug. And Julie is going to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Jure van Bergen. I'm also known as Dr. Wax. You can email me at drwax@2600nl.net. I do some OTR stuff, and this is my OTR fingerprint. And next to that, I also have a shameless plug. I work on Digital Rights Watch. We're going to do a talk today at 3 at the Noisy Square on Field W. You should really check it out. We put the resistance back in Ohm. And next to that, we both work on like project for crypto.is to have better code peer review, the kind of project. ERC or SSI OTR comes from that. So that's what we do.
All right, so here's our plan for this session. It's not going to be a long talk, so we're hoping for you guys to have a lot of questions, comments, and so on. So we're going to start with a small introduction of what is OTR, explaining what the properties of OTR are, and then the project idea of use OTR. Then we're going deeper into the state of OTR right now. So what's the OTR plugins available for which IAMs, and what's the situation in terms of updates and security and stuff. And finally now this is like a surprise, not surprise, but mystery team about some changes we need in OTR and this larger community of IAMs, instant messaging. First of all, so OTR is an end-to-end encryption, which means it's from person to person across the internet, across the network. There is 4 properties that are very important in OTR. That is the base of OTR, which is encryption, of course. So this process to fingerprints. And there is some kind of improvement that was done in July, 24th of July 2007, which had the Socialist Millionaire Protocol. And this is pretty cool. So you ask a question that only the other person know, and that you know the answer, and then the person responds, and if it's correct, well, it's verified. There's a very nice fancy crypto behind that, and you verify. So in terms of usability, this is a key feature. This is a really important key feature. And as we're going to see through the talk, well, there's not much right now plugins for IAMs that uses this feature, even though it's there for still 2007. So now perfect forward secrecy. You might have heard a lot about perfect forward secrecy in the last weeks or so about all this Snowden thing where we want to put all this SSL traffic through perfect forward secrecy. So basically you have those guys on top that snooping, and they finally get your key, your private key, but with perfect forward secrecy, it means like you don't do shit with the previous conversation. So the previous stuff is safe, even though the private key was compromised. So there's go read on Wikipedia. There's a lot of articles about that to understand the crypto if you're interested. But perfect forward secrecy is very important for that. Deniability. So I hope this is going to be.
Okay, welcome at this session about off-the-record messaging. And of course, first the standard announcements. We need more volunteers. Please, sign up. There's much stuff to do. Importantly, some cars are improperly parked. The signs of these cars, the license plates are posted around the camp. If one of your cars is on the list, please move it yourself, or we will remove it and your car might be, I don't know, sold or so. Please don't throw trash in the toilet. We had to clean it up. And an announcement I want to make myself. If you move anything into this room, please remove it as well. I see many beer bottles, water bottles, and crap. I mean, please remove your own stuff, and if you see another bottle, take it away as well. I don't think we need to drink more water today, but you can reuse the water bottles that you have. So, now to the talk. Off-the-record messaging by Jure van Bergen and David Goulet. What it is, what it's about, the state of the art, etc. At the end we will have 10 minutes for Q&A, so please stay if you have questions for them personally. So please welcome Jure and David.
All right, so you can hear me, guys? Yeah. All right, so hi everyone. Thank you to come to this windy talk.